Hello everybody and welcome to another video from Mac User, and in this video we're going to go through the new product line that Apple are just about to release on the 12th of March 2025. So let's get into it, shall we? So I'm based in the UK, so I'm just going to go to the Apple website and then apply the UK product line so I can get it in sterling or pounds as opposed to dollars from the default site, which is always the US site. So here we are on the front page, and I've noticed this was sort of sneaked under the radar. I noticed it today actually because I was just about to order a Mac Studio for a client. Anyway, so here we've got our new MacBook Air, the new Studio, and obviously the iPad Air. So on the three different settings sort of thing really. So the new MacBook Air is with the M4 processor. So this will have the MagSafe 3 and the M4 processor built into it. Up until a couple of days ago you'd have bought the M2. So they still had the base M model product line of the M2. The M1 had obviously been discontinued, I think the year before. And then we had the M3. And then on the Studio, which is the one I knew was going to be refreshed soon. I didn't realise it was going to be so soon. I thought it would have been about around June time, was the Studio, because the Studio had been sitting on the M2 processor for quite a while really. I think for probably nearly 18 months really. All the other product line had been refreshed, and I thought, I wonder when they're going to do the Studio. It's certainly scheduled for this year, and I did sort of try and persuade people to hold off if they can on buying a new Studio machine just in case, to see what's happening. Or instead of going for a Mac Studio, you can go for the Mac Mini Pro version, which is a significantly cheaper product line. And then obviously they've released in the new iPad Air with the M3 chip built into it. So let's get into it. Let's have a quick look and see what we've got on the old product line. So the new MacBook Air then, and this base M model for the UK price, that's $999 plus the so $999, and that includes our tax. So our VAT or value added tax is 20%, which is, as always, quite staggering how expensive that is. But our tax rate is 20%, and it's already built into the product line, so you already know what you're paying. For businesses, they can obviously, if they're VAT registered, they can claim the 20% back, which is actually a nice handshake back from the government side of it. But yeah, so this is the new MacBook Air, and obviously it's got a color code assigned to it. So let's have a look at the pre-orders and see what we've got in the configuration. So on the 13-inch, the base M model, at $999, which is what the price was for the M2. So the M2 up till a week ago would have been that product line. That's what it would have cost you from Apple, buying it from the UK store, and you wouldn't have had 16 gig. You'd have actually only had 8 gig. Your SSD would still be 256. And I've noticed this on all the product line. They've refreshed everything, and everything has a minimum of 16 gig within the machine. So clearly they're future-proofing the machines, readying, preparing for the next operating system, which will obviously be in beta test release probably June, July. It's usually when I get the beta version. It's pretty straightforward and easy for you to sign up to become a beta tester for Apple. And then they're obviously heavily pushing their Apple Intelligence, which I've had quite a good play around with now since they released it on the Silicon machines, and it works actually quite good really. So I'm expecting great things from the Apple Intelligence, but I am guessing that the reason why they've gone for 16 gig is to future proof, and also because this product will probably be very intensive in using the architecture of the product. And then we've got obviously the next one up. So for a 512, so if you can afford the 200 quid extra, then the 512 SSD option is worth you. If it's just a base M machine that you just want to surf the internet and just plod along with quite happily and not do anything taxing, this is a very, very good machine. And certainly the MacBook Air ever since its release has always been incredibly popular in the UK, and probably because of the price. The price was always a very good decent price for the MacBook Air. And then when the M2 came out, it was a bit cheeky because the price was actually this price, so you'd buy that product at 199, but you could still get obviously the M1, and then the M2 came in as well with that base M model at 999. So I think they've been quite sensible with the product line. At least they haven't hiked the price up with these machines. And then of course you can go for a high intensive machine at 24 gig with your 512, and then you're looking at this price, which is significantly cheaper than the MacBook Pro. So obviously if you was considering a Pro version machine, then this could actually work for you quite well. I've got an M1 MacBook Pro, the 14-inch, and it's a complete workhorse for me. I've had it for several years now, and I'm very, very impressed with it. But you could seriously consider this as a contender for that. It's certainly slightly cheaper. However, if you're looking at this area, you might want to consider looking at the MacBook Pro in comparison, certainly the 14-inch model. And then if we look at the 15-inch, was released a few years ago, I think, wasn't it, really? So that, again, the base M model, it's not a bad price really for that. And remember, when I look at that, I'm obviously minusing the VAT for business purposes side of it. But again, 16 gig, and then your 256 on the old SSD, and then you've got your 4 colours. So sky blue, which is the new colour, good old silver, always silver, starlight, which I've not too much of a fan one, and this one, the midnight. My advice, well, it's up to you when you buy these things, but the midnight, I found it hilarious because your fingerprints just seem to just stay on the machine when you start using the trackpad. But obviously silver, fine. What a shame Space Grey has been removed from the product line. But I would say the sky blue is quite nice. My iMac is an M3, and it's a blue in colour, and it's actually quite a nice pale blue, so it's quite a nice colour. So I am expecting this sky blue to be quite a nice colour feature for your product line. So that's the MacBook Air. So it looks pretty good. And again, it's going to be released in the UK. That is, in the UK, it's going to be released on the 12th of this month, or 12th of March 2025. So let's go back and then have a chit chat about the Studio. So this is the workhorse, really. A lot of people went for this product line when they were using, as opposed to the Mac Pro, because the Mac Pro is an incredibly expensive product to use for anything to do with video editing and that side of things. So let's just move on to the costing side of it. So again, it's got the M4 Max for the base M model, and then the M3 Ultra for the one on steroids, and I'll go through that in a minute and show you the different prices with regards to that. But certainly the M4 Max, up until last week, it would have been the M2 with its product line. It's certainly worth considering that. And that is now the base M model for the Studio. So if you're into After Effects or Final Cut or anything to do with video editing of any description, even DaVinci, then and as long as you've got the monitor and the keyboard and the mouse, you just need the actual product. This is a very good contender. The other one is the Mac Mini Pro. So the Mac Mini Pro is a significantly cheaper product line, and I've mucked around with a couple of those, and they've been very, very impressed. One of my clients has actually just ordered one to replace their iMac, their 2017 iMac that they've had, that's been a workhorse in GarageBand and in Logic. So let's go to the build numbers then. So let's have a look, see. So your base M model now, so it comes with 32 gig. I think the original one was 24, but I will check that. But I think the original, when it was the M2, it was 24 gig. The SSD hasn't changed, so it's still the same storage, and the price has not changed at all. So the price is exactly what it was a week ago, apart from the fact that you get a better processor, so the newer processor, and you also definitely get more memory than you would have done a week ago. So that's actually not a bad price marker. And then the same really with the Ultra. So that price was what it was last week, but it would have been the M2 Ultra. So I had a couple of clients that had these as render machines for a render farm, and they were very, very powerful machines. I mean, their rendering speed in comparison to the base M model was well, the bench tester used to just smash it out of the ground, but it's because obviously it was such a powerful processor, and it had a lot of juice behind it within the architecture. But now they've obviously oiked the memory, so your base M model comes with your 1 terabyte is exactly what it would have been a week ago, but now you get 96 gig, which is an awful lot of memory for that. I mean, that's server configurations really, but yes, 96 gig at 4199, and then for businesses, obviously we minus the VAT, which is 20% for that when we claim that back. But again, that product line very, very good. I'll be impressed. I'll be very intrigued really to see how Apple Intelligence improves over time. I'm assuming it is the reason why they've oiked all the memories on everything. It is to future-proof the product line and the operating system, and of course Apple Intelligence will be taxing much like its competition. So worth a look at. Certainly worth a look at if you somebody that wants to get into your video editing side of it. This base M model is certainly worth it, and for that product price line, and compare that to the Mac Mini Pro, and I'm talking about the Pro, not the actual just the base M Mac Mini, which is again, if you just want a machine, you've already got a monitor and a keyboard, that is actually a very good steal from Apple, so it's worth looking at that one. And then let's move back to the Air, so the iPad Air, and then I'm just going to build it. I'm going to go for the base M model. I love Space Gray. I've always loved Space Gray. What a shame the laptops are no longer Space Gray, but hey ho, I can forgive Apple for the Mac Mini and the Studio being silver, but I do miss the Space Gray on the laptops, on the Airs, and on the MacBook Pros. And I'm just going to go for the base M model. My old iPad has only got 64 gig, and it does struggle, it seems, with once I download all the apps and stuff like that. And certainly if you've got something like Amazon Prime or something like that, and you're pre-downloading your movies ready to watch on the go, it will soon eats up the machine. So 128 gig is a pretty decent size that you're going to need. Not really sure in the UK there's ever a need for Cellular. I'm assuming there is, but otherwise they wouldn't still sell the product line with Cellular. But certainly if you're on a monthly subscription with your mobile phone contract, I would just tether it, because most mobile phone contracts these days, you get unlimited data. It's very rare you don't really get that unless you've got a really naff contract, and if you have, I would seriously consider shopping around. There's certainly several mobile phone companies out there that offer unlimited data, so why not just get an iPad Air and then tether it to the phone. So I'm going to go for the base M model. I'm not going to go for the engraving, and I don't need a pencil because I've already got one, and I don't need a keyboard. I could bore people to tears about the keyboard and what to actually buy, because there's so many different product lines out there, and it's worth looking at certain IT companies, and even the very famous company that everyone seems to buy everything from. You can actually pick yourself up a very, very good keyboard that's actually built in with a case side of it. But hey ho, and then the trade-in is entirely up to you. But I spec'd up for a client last week actually a trade-in, and they were going to get 30 quid for their iPads, which in the end I think they just gave them to their grandchild, which is fair enough. The Apple Care, for those that don't know, this covers you, certainly in the UK, it covers you for accidental damage as well, which is a good hit. And for £79, that's not a bad price really. You'd be hard pushed to find something from house insurance or something like that. If you insured your mobile phone, you could insure the iPad as well. But for £79, it's actually quite a good product line. It's certainly worth purchasing that as an extra for that. But just for argument's sake, I'm not going to call that. So I'm just going to go for the base end model, and it's $599 for your iPad Air, and that's the 11-inch screen. So nice machine, and of course I've gone for my favourite colour, which is space grey, for that product line. So again, this will be released on the 12th of March. So there's our product lines. I'll keep the iPad on bit on there, and I'm just going to go to the refurb site. So I'm just going to chat quickly about the Apple refurb site. All you do is you type in Apple and then refurbished, and then let's go to the UK site for me, because that's where I'm based. I'll go for the Airs first of all. Let's have a look at the iPads, and then we're going to go for the Air, just the Air product line. So here we are. So you get the 5th generation there, 64 gig, which I'd argue that 64 gig for an iPad isn't enough now, certainly with the way that we stream video content. Really, we actually, a lot of the time we can download it and then just watch it offline. So 64 gig might be not enough for you to hold all the storage on it. So let's get to, again, Cellular. Never really understand the reason for Cellular. And then what else have they got? Oh, okay, so 256 is then a massive jump to the 256. So 499. So 499, you do get more storage. So double the storage with that, and that's £100 cheaper than it would be if you bought the Air. So the new version of the new Air at 599. So that's not a bad shout. Certainly not a bad shout. Let's go back. Oops, too far. Let me go back and let's go to the Macs. Certainly worth looking at every time Apple do a refresh of the product line. It's certainly worth looking to see what is actually out there. So I'm going to go for the MacBook Airs, and then I've got my base end model. So that's the M1. That's the very first one with the USB-C or Thunderbolt 3 type connector, which is the obviously the option that they've had since 2016 when they ditched the MagSafe 2, which I think was a mistake for Apple, but they're $1 billion company, if not $1 trillion company, so it's up to them really. But they've obviously since then I suppose listened to the punters, people like me, and actually went for a MagSafe 3, and I've been using the MagSafe 3 on my MacBook Pro, my M1 14-inch machine, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And it's the same with the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air then, so the M3 and the M2 has got the MagSafe 2, and a lot of people I know that have got this version 1 have kicked themselves because they love the idea of the MagSafe, and to not have a MagSafe for that product line is a bit of a shame. But again, looking at that price, and that's an M3, this is an M1, that 7th thing, I'm not sure, it must have quite a big spec on it or something. I don't know why it's the same. Oh, so 512, that's the reason why, so that's 512. This one will probably just be 256, yeah, 256. But again, 16 gig of RAM, 256 SSD, and the price 759. So it's not a bad price, and that's the M3. So that's literally last week's generation of an iPad, of a MacBook Air. So there are some very good deals out there. It's worth having a look at from the refurb site. And in the UK, the refurb site, it's like you're ordering direct, where you are directly ordering it from Apple, and you still get your year's warranty. And the other thing is that if you're buying it for personal use, you can then claim the consumer law over the 12 months as well, which is quite a nice feature. If it's for business, it has a business receipt attached to it, and you've obviously claimed the VAT back, then you won't be able to qualify for that after the 12 months. But certainly in the UK, it's worth purchasing your products for not for business, so that you can use the consumer law option, which you can use after the 12 months, or after the 1 year's warranty on that. I've not had too many problems with the refurbished. I had one MacBook Pro that was a bit iffy back in the teens, and then my iPhone 12 was actually quite bad, but they actually replaced the under consumer law, they replaced the phone completely. Just swapped it out with another refurbished one, but it's been fine since then. So that's the MacBook Air. Let's go for the studios. So let's have a look at the studios. So we've only got 3 available. So we've got crazy prices for the but down here, so let's have a look. So this base end model at 1609. So that's coming in a little bit more than if you bought an Mac Mini Pro. However, so this would have been 2099 as of last week, and then this one comes with the 32 gig, which is quite good, and the 512. So it's not a bad price. You're obviously saving yourself quite a bit of money on that. The only caveat for that is, if I go back, I'll just show you. Yeah, the only caveat there is obviously the M4 Max. So you're getting obviously a much more powerful processor with the GPU, and then obviously they've oiked the RAM a little bit for it, so 36 as opposed to this one here on the refurb site, which is 32. But again, not a bad price if you've already got the monitor, already got the keyboard and the mouse. It's not a bad option to look at. Certainly these machines, I've got several clients that have got the M2s, and they're very, very powerful machines, and certainly for After Effects or anything to do with Adobe or Final Cut or DaVinci, it works very, very nicely. Very smooth machine, really. Very, very capable product line. But certainly, to have 2 processors jump to an M4, when this comes out and people start bench testing it, I think they'll be just blown away by the actual speed and the render capabilities of this product line. And look, I'm in the dollar sign. Isn't that hilarious how the dollars is the same price it is in pounds, so it's actually cheaper to buy it in the States. Oh well, there we go. Such is life. Anyway, so I just thought I'd let you know about the Apple's scheduled release. And I'm going to go back to the UK site so I can get my pounds back, or my sterling. But there we have it. So we have the new MacBook Air that's scheduled to be released with the Studio, and then the new iPad Air, and they're all scheduled to be released on the 12th of March 2025. So hopefully that's been of some use to you. But it's worth having a look on the refurb site. So go back to the refurb site. Have a look, obviously, depending on where you are within your country, and see what the product lines are available for them. But I do always look at the refurb site. Certainly when Apple do a new release, I always look at it just to see what's come out and whether anything has dropped significantly in price. And you actually do pick up some very good deals from Apple. So nice for them to release these new machines. It'll be interesting to see the bench testing on them when they come out, and I'm sure that lots of people will be reporting back and be quite impressed actually with the power and the capability of these products. So anyway, that's it for me. Hopefully you've that's helped you, and as always, have a great day.